الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My names are Fatima Hussein Hassan. I'm the principal of Nairobi Muslim Academy, a secondary section. And it's such an embarrassment to look after veteran educationists like my awo, Maalim Idris, but no harm, inshallah. I'm sure he has said a lot, but I'm trying to be as brief as possible, inshallah. Saida, who is one of the proprietors of this particular institution, was my student. I taught her at Muslim Academy some many years ago. And when she passed by and she told me, "Teacher, this is the initiative I have," I told her I will support you to the fullest because I know what it means to start a school. It is said when you start a school or when you open doors of a school, you close the doors of prison. Because as you are teaching children and you are making them become responsible and useful people in the society, we will be closing down the prisons because they will not end up there. And may Allah give her the tawfiq, inshallah, and give her the strength. It is not easy, but we are behind you and we will help you, inshallah, where possible, inshallah. She asked me to talk about parenting, just a few tips. I will be very, very brief. I'm sure we've heard so much about parenting. And if you look at the guidance Islam has given us, Islam talks about parenting even before you get even the children. In the contemporary world, parenting will simply mean guidelines and ways in which you raise your children. But Islam has told us more about parenting even before we get the children. And it starts from when you're looking for the mother or the father of your child. It starts from there. And it even starts before there when someone starts to know what is right and what is wrong and what do I expect in a proper man and what do I expect in a proper woman. So it is said when you are looking for your wife, the Prophet ﷺ gave a hadith and he said women are married for 4 things and likewise men are married for 4 things. And he talked about nobility, he talked about their beauty, he talked about the wealth, and he talked about good character. And the Prophet ﷺ said, go for that who has good character, and Allah will bless your hands. That is where it starts from in Islam. It doesn't start from now I have children, what are the skills that I need? What are the ways that I need to raise my child? The Prophet ﷺ also went further and told Muslims that when you pray that Allah gives you the right person, on that day after you have looked after the character and you have seen this is the right person for me to be the father of my child or to be the mother of my child, that day when you come together, there is a dua that you're supposed to make. And the man is supposed to hold the woman's head and say, Ya Allah, I seek refuge. I first ask you of all the blessings you have created this woman of, and I ask you to give us all those blessings. And I seek refuge in every shar that is in her. Because every human being is born with something that is good and something that is bad. And when such a dua is made, Allah already opened doors for this family. And this is a family that has put its trust in Allah, even long before the children have come. And after that, when a man wants to see his wife, then there's a dua again he makes. And that dua is just simple, and it shows the love and the completeness of Islam. And the love Allah has for His creatures in terms of teaching them of what is expected at every level and every stage. The dua simply says, Ya Allah, Bismillah, and it says, Ya Allah, I seek refuge in shaitan, and we seek refuge in what you will give us. Of course, out of that union, there will come a child. And already before even that child comes, you have already placed that child under the protection of Allah from shaitan. Because shaitan is our open enemy. Shaitan told Allah, I will not leave them. I will try from all corners to lure these people to come to my way. and seeking protection at that particular time and asking Allah, Ya Allah, protect us and protect what you will give us from shaitan is such a wonderful dua. From there then, the child comes. Before even the child is born, there are so many things we were told to do by Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. One of them is that the mother who is expecting should be reading Quran, because it is said after the age of around 5 months, the child is able to hear. And the mother who recites Quran as she's expecting her child, that child becomes very much conversant with the word of Allah. And even when it is born, it has been proven scientifically. When that child is born and the child is crying and she's put next to the mother either reading Quran or Quran that is being read, it soothes that child and the child stops crying. This has been proven scientifically. And then thereafter, there are so many examples we have received in the Quran about Luqman. We all know Surah Al-Luqman and the advice of Luqman al-Hakim. And there are so many others. Yaqub talked about, Allah talked to him about how he will raise his children in the Quran. So as Muslims, ours is just not how do we raise our children after they are born, but long, long before even the children come to us. So it is said the best gift you will give to your child is the kind of mother or the kind of father you choose for your child. If you've chosen the right mother and the right father, then that is the beginning of success. But if you have chosen the wrong mother and the wrong father, that is the beginning of the problems in parenting. As it is said in the Quran, there are several verses that do talk about ways of raising our children. In the Quran, Allah chose Luqman to tell us about how to raise children. When he talked to his son and gave him some advice, I'm not going into the details of that. He talked about Yaqub, he talked about Ibrahim, to show us what is needed to observe the proper tarbiyah of our children, and in a manner that is most pleasing to Allah. The first tool a parent needs to raise proper children, because children are a bedrock of the society. Right now, most of our old parents and grandparents are aging, and they have left a generation behind. That generation is bearing children now. So if we are not going to understand what is the role and what is the purpose of children in our society and mold them and nurture them well as expected, then our society is doomed to failure. So the first prerequisite for every particular parent is about dua. Dua is the most powerful tool you can use to help your children grow into better children. If you look at Zakaria stayed for very many years without children. And when he asked Allah, he never gave up. And he told Allah, Ya Allah, grant me from yourself an offspring. And Ya Allah, accept my dua. Because at that particular time, Zakaria wanted someone to inherit from him. But because he did not have a child, he asked Allah, grant from yourself a good offspring. He did not just ask for a child. He asked for a good offspring. And he said, indeed, you are the hearer of the supplications. The Prophet ﷺ has also asked us to seek protection for our children. Remember his grandchildren Hassan and Al-Hussein. The Prophet ﷺ used to tell them, أعيدكم بكلمات الله تامة من كل شيطان وهامة ومن كل عين لامة. Every time the children used to go out, he used to make this dua for them. The dua translates, I seek refuge for both of you in the perfect sword of Allah, from every devil and every poisonous things, and from the evil eye which influences. This dua is very, very important for our children, because anything can happen to children outside home. It cannot necessarily be something that will harm them physically, but even mentally. You are sending them to teachers who are also human beings. You are sending them to stay with other children. You never know the influence other people might have over our children. And that is why it is important when your child is leaving the house, you make this dua for your child. أعيدكم بكلمات الله تامة من كل شيطان وهامة ومن كل عين لامة. It is also said that Shaitan is our biggest enemy. Shaitan told Allah, I will influence them from every direction, from the left, from the right, from the rear, from the front, and I will make sure they follow my path. And Allah told him, whoever who will follow you will be part and parcel of you. And that is why you see the mother of Maryam, when she got a baby girl, she was not expecting a baby girl. She really wanted to get a baby boy. But when she got a baby girl, the first supplication she did to Allah was, I seek refuge in Allah from the shaitan for her child and her progeny, because she made a dua. Maryam's mother made a dua. She was expecting a boy. She got a girl. But when she got this girl, it did not end at that, and she became displeased. She said, I pray to you, Ya Allah, and I seek refuge from you, from this baby that I have got, not only her, and also her progeny. It is also said Maryam had only 2 children, according to Ibn Kathir. According to Ibn Kathir, Tafsir, he says Maryam and Isa, because Maryam was the mother of Isa. And he says Maryam and Isa were the only 2 children who were not touched by Quran, who were not touched by Shaitan, because this is a supplication the mother of Maryam made when she got her. Another beautiful dua that we have in the Quran is, Ya Allah, our Lord, grant us from amongst our wives and offsprings comfort to our eyes and make us an example of the righteous. These du'as are very, very important for our children, because if we do not pray for our children, then the open enemy is there to hold on to our children. And the best thing you can do for your child, because you love your child so much, is to seek protection from a cursed shaitan. The other thing that we have been taught in Islam is to walk the talk as parents. Remember, this age, I'm sure your children are in the formative ages. When they're here, they're at the most formative age, and that is the most important age. If you do not add some value to your child at this stage, then it becomes difficult to handle her much later. Because look at the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that said, the first 7 years, play with your children. Playing means show affection, show care, show concern. Bring them closer to you. Because you as a mother, you are the first role model of your child. Your child will look greatly onto you. Remember, by the time a child is 7 years of age, this child knows how to talk, this child can reason, the child knows how to write, and he is looking mostly onto you as the mother. The fathers are not in the house. They have another responsibility. The homemakers are we as mothers. So the first 7 years you are told, bring your child closer to you so that your child learns a lot from you as a mother. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, the second 7 years, teach them that which is right and that which is wrong. The first 7 years, don't even beat them up. Just bring them closer, show affection, talk to them. But the second phase of 7 years, now teach them what is right and what is wrong. And he said again, the last 7 years, bring them closer again. These middle 7 years, you are told if a child does not want to pray, beat up the child. But the next 7 years, that is by the time the child is between 15 and 21, this child is supposed to get closer to you again. Because if he doesn't, you will lose this child to the society. And psychologists are now trying to understand that at this age. Yet, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave us this 1400 years ago. So for the first 7 years as parents, what are we supposed to do? Number one, it is as parents we must be people who walk the talk. If we tell a child it is wrong to lie, then you should not lie in front of the child. When you tell the child, eat with your right hand, then for you, that is exactly what you should be doing. If you tell a child, make a dua before you get into the toilet, that is what your child should see you doing. You cannot say A and do B and expect the child to do A. So we must be able to walk the talk. When you tell your child, read Quran, your child will see the enjoyment in reading Quran when he sees you as the mother and the father sitting down and reading Quran. But if you do not do that, and any time you want them to read Quran, you send them to the madrasas, where sometimes teachers use wrong approaches to teach these children Quran, that child will live to hate the Quran. And you'll start asking yourself, why is my child like this? So mothers and fathers, the first thing we are supposed to do in the first 7 years, let our children see us reading Quran. Let our children see us doing the salah. For the fathers, take the children to the masjid, particularly the boys. We are in an era where children are not wanted in the mosque. But the time of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, children were allowed in the mosque. There is a time when the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was leading salah, he had to prolong the sijdah. And the reason why he prolonged the sijdah is because one of his grandsons was on his neck. And he did not want to spoil that for him. And the Sahabas asked, Ya Rasul, why have you prolonged the salah, the sijda? And he said, I had prolonged the sijda because of this and this. And let's allow our children to go to the masjid. All you need to do is teach them, but let children be children again. Let's, as parents, not get irritated and ask, what are the children coming to do in the masjid? That is how you teach them the love of Allah and love of Islam. So for the fathers, if you have boys, take them to the masjid. The mothers, when you are praying, pray with the children in the house. They are never a nuisance, and it starts early. It doesn't start when they are 2 years. Even when you have that baby who is after nifas, put the child next to you when you are praying. The child will learn to see that and coordinate that. And every time you'll be praying, your child will not cry. You've seen situations where mothers fail to pray because their children are crying. And every time they want to cry and they give it to somebody else, the children cry and you cannot concentrate even in salah. What is expected is when you are praying, put your toddler your baby next to you. Let her learn or let him learn and see what is my mother doing. And that way the child will learn that when my mom is praying, I should not be crying. Then when they become 2 years of age and they're able to follow what you are doing, allow them to do that. Let our homes be homes that have nur. Let us sleep early. Let us teach our children to sleep early. Because we are also supposed to sleep early so that we can get up for ibadah. But when you allow yourselves to stay up to past midnight or up to 11, watching movies, doing things that are unexpected and are not expected, then children learn from us. But when they know immediately you pray Isha, maybe you do 1 or 2 things, then go to sleep. People are able to get up for Fajr, pray. Your children will be looking up onto you and they will become good children. Let us not lose tempers when we're in traffic jam and we want to overlap and we want to do many things and we hoot at people. Children are learning from us. Sometimes you ask yourself, why is my child having a problem with anger management? While you as a parent, when he does something so small, you get so angry with the child learns that and he uses that against others. So it's an issue of us doing what is expected. Let us walk the talk. When we say this, let us teach our children, because at the end of the day, we are the role models of our children. Our children need to learn from us first. Before we take them even to schools and madrasas, we are the first madrasas of our children, particularly the mothers. We are the first madrasas of our children, and we must strive to acquire more knowledge, more ilm, so that we teach our children what is expected. Then the third tip is, let us learn to be patient and persevere. Allah says, إِنَّمَا الْأَمْوَالُكُمْ وَأَوْلَادُكُمْ fitna. Your children and your wealth will become fitna. You will get tested. Nabi Nuh alayhi salam was tested. What was he tested with? His child. So we must understand that tests will come along the way. Hatutapatiwa tu watoto because watoto ni neema. Hatutapatiwa alafu tuambiwe tu haya. Enjoy that neema and it ends at that. They will test us. They will test our patience. So long as you keep your family away from shaitan by doing what is expected, then your children will be protected. But let me tell you, dear parents, it is not easy to raise children without being patient. We need to be patient. We need to keep the family together. We need to try our best all the time to ensure our children are okay. One thing that I forgot to mention, it's important to establish halaqas in our homes. Even when the children are young as 2 years. You can start darsas within the home where you teach them, instead of telling them bedtime stories. Get the stories of the prophets. Talk to your children about them. Of course, with the level of their mind in your mind. Knowing that this is what they can get, this is what they cannot get. When you do that and you start tarbiyah lessons in your house, maybe ba'ad al-maghrib, you sit down with your wife, with your children, and you agree today maybe you'll talk about truthfulness. Next time maybe we'll talk about sabr. Next time maybe we'll talk about the love of Allah. The minute you start doing this, you are keeping shaitan at bay from your home and from your children. Because let me tell you, children, apart from learning from us as parents, learn also from their friends and learn from the environment. There are things maybe you have not taught your child, but when your child goes out, he comes with a certain behavior and you start asking yourself, where did this child get this behavior from? So let us try and give our children space within the house. Let us have those lessons. Let's avoid allowing TV to raise our children. These cartoons and these TV programs destroy our children. There are some cartoons that will be told, these ones don't have a problem. But let me tell you, none of them are good. The best you can do for your child is be the teacher of your child within the house. Because what the intention of those TV programs are very clear. They are there to destroy morals. We are asking ourselves, what is happening to children nowadays? Yesterday, I received a WhatsApp message about some cartoons that are teaching children to be homosexuals. And then these programs, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney World, and these are the things our children watch. Sometimes we do not even know what is inside there. We are too busy, and we allow TVs and house girls to raise our children. So it's important we try our level best to be patient, but you can only be patient when you have taught your children what is right. Even when they do something wrong, be patient with them, because it is said that patience is what, like, the reward of us as parents lies in the patience that we have. I am sure we all know the story of Nabi Yaqub and his children and what they did to him, the story of Yusuf. And it's important to understand at the end of the day, our patience as parents usually pays. Let us avoid throwing tantrums to our children. Sometimes it is said, you may be saying something on a very light note, but because the dua of a parent is maqbul, even if you are making a wrong dua or something bad, you're giving your child maybe a curse, then it doesn't fall anywhere. It either goes directly or it comes back to the child. Let us avoid throwing tantrums, and even when we are very angry at our children, let's try and be we think a lot before we say anything bad to our children. The other thing we will be expected to do as parents is teach your children who Allah is from a very tender age. Teach them to understand what is the essence of our creation. Of course, you cannot tell your child that Allah said He has created us only to worship Him when a child is 2 years. He will not understand that. But when a child asks you, where is that sun coming from? You tell your child, it is Allah who has made it. Yeah? The child will ask sometimes, why are we walking and we are walking on 2 legs and a cat is walking on 4 legs? Tell the child that is how Allah did the creation. That is how you start teaching your child about Allah. And I will tell you, as a teacher who is handling teenagers, the effect of this particular age and the nurturing of this particular age on a teenager. If you've taught your child Allah, if you've taught your child to understand why she was created or why he was created, and you teach your child good akhlaq, when they come to be teenagers, they will manage that stage. It is one of the worst stages. It is one of the worst stages a child can go through. Because at that particular age, children don't know Allah. Teenagers don't know Allah at that age. They do not know the teacher. They do not know the parent. Allah is not important. Parents are not important. Teachers are not important. The most important thing to them is their friends, whether they are good, whether they are bad. So if you teach your children Allah at a tender age, and they know good values of good manners, by the time they come to this age, they can easily sieve out and say, I think this is not the way I was raised. Even when the friends insist that they want her to do something bad, she will still remember what I was raised with, and the child will not do something bad. The reason why we are saying it is important to teach your children Allah is they will be able to understand Allah and have the fear of Allah and not do anything wrong. And that is why you see, among the 7 people who will be under the shade of Allah, on the day that there will be no shade, is a teenager who strived to worship Allah. Because it is usually not easy. But can that teenager worship Allah if you did not nurture that kid with it? He will not. The teenager will not worship Allah. So try your level best to make your children learn who Allah is. The minute you do that, wallahi, you will not have a problem raising children. The society is now doomed. And the reason why such initiatives are being started is we are feeling knowledge enough is not enough. Going to school and learning how to read and write is not enough. And that is why you see schools like Alliance, Kenya High have existed over 100 years. But the reason why the Muslim community is starting its own schools is because there is a gap. And what is that gap? People are getting knowledge, but there is no tarbiyah. People are learning how to read and write. People are passing exams, but there is no tarbiyah. Today, how many PhD holders are corrupt in this country. All of them. Yeah? All our leaders are corrupt. And that is why we are saying there is a gap. And this gap will be filled when we teach our children Islam. There is no other solution. The solution is teaching our children Islam. What Allah wants and what Allah does not want. And when we do that, we will be able to salvage this country. This country is ours. It is there for us, and it is there for us to salvage it. And we can only do that through education. So my dear parents, let us strive harder in our homes. If we do our part in the homes, then the teachers will have less work. Right now, every responsibility has been left to the teacher. Teachers are going through a lot. It is the teacher who is the parent, it is the teacher who is the teacher, it is the teacher who is the judge. We've seen what is happening in schools now. Wallahi, it is musiba. And it is because the homes are not functional. Parents are not giving their children what is expected. Instead, because every parent is busy, we substitute that with money, free environment, we don't ask questions, and there is no accountability, and we think that will stand in for our absence. It is just distraction. It is total distraction. So while we are in the homes, let us take care of the children. Parents who are having children who are young, please do understand, you play a very, very important role in the lives of your children. And if you try your best and you pray to Allah every other time, then Allah is going to make it easy. It is not easier. That's why Allah has told that children and wealth will be fitna for us. So let us try our level best. But the best solution and the secret that I have seen work is teaching your children Islam. That is the solution. The solution lies nowhere else. The solution lies in Islam. So my dear parents, let us try our level best. Let's make dua for our children. Let's teach them what is right and what is wrong, and support teachers in schools. Please support the teachers in schools. One major problem we've realized is when there are issues raised about a child by teachers and we call parents upon, parents are always defensive, very, very defensive of their children's misbehavior. When a teacher calls you to school and tells you there is a behavior I have noticed in your child and we want to see how we will help this child, please listen to the teacher. The teacher has been entrusted with the responsibility of nurturing that child. Do not get defensive. When the teacher tells you your child is violent, your child beats others in class, you need to contemplate and you ask yourself, where is this violent behavior coming from? Are you beating the mother while the child is singing? Are you always quarreling? Are mothers throwing tantrums to the fathers when the child is singing? These are the things that usually are passed to our children. And when they go to school, the behavior manifests. And the first thing as teachers will ask, because teachers have done psychology, the first thing they will ask is, what environment is this child exposed to? So sometimes try your level best, even when you're not in good terms with each other, let your children not notice. Because if they do notice that, they become violent and they transfer that to school. Sometimes we see children, a very small child who will come to an adult and will lack respect automatically for the adult. There is a problem in the home. I assure you, 100% una shida nyumbani. Na hii shida yule mtu anafaa correct number one, ikina mama. And we'll continue telling you, you are the first madrasas of your children. Please help your children. When a teacher observes a certain behavior, support the teacher. Ask the teacher, how are we going to work this out? How are we going to help the child? And that way, the child will be helped. And don't become defensive and don't hate the teacher, because that's what most of us do. We hate the teacher and say, mwalimu anaonea mtoto wangu. There is no way mwalimu ataonea mtoto wako. If anything, mwalimu is helping you raise your child. The other thing we must do is we try our level best, even when we are we are having gatherings. Who are your friends? Your child are observing all these people. If you are the kind of a father who will sit down and chew mirror in your house with your friends, then you are not raising a society. If you are the kind of mother who will sit down and gossip and backbite in your house and your child is listening to all this, then you're not raising a society. If you are a mother who is watching soap operas, then believe me not, you're not raising a child. Because the time you're supposed to work on the tarbiyah of this child is consumed by something else. For the fathers, if your child does not see you praying, then this child will not pray. So we need to understand at the end of the day, we are the mirror of our children. Our children, they see themselves through us. And that is why we need to struggle every other time to ensure we raise a nation. Because it is said, If you do not raise children as expected, then we are not raising a nation. A society will be doomed. And I'm very happy, alhamdulillah. The Muslim community has realized this. And there's a lot of effort and energy going into starting our own institutions that will help our children. We are believing that if our children mix with the mainstream society, then at the end of the day we will not have anything. And that is why initiatives like these are very important, and we ask Allah to give anybody who thinks of uplifting the situation and the status of the Ummah, Allah to give him the strength, the wisdom, and the patience, because it is never easy. Anything good will have a lot of imtihan. Anything that is not good, Shaitan gives you the support and it moves very fast. You will get a lot of complaints either. You will get a lot of complaints. You will get a lot of people will always criticize you. But all you need to tell yourself is, you told me you started this institution because of Allah. And she told me, teacher, around that area, I need to help the Muslims in that society. And I told her, if you are starting because of Allah, then you will succeed. But I guarantee you, it's not going to be easy. It is not going to be easy. Open your eyes, open your ears to get the criticisms, but always move forward. And you tell yourself, Ya Allah, help me in doing ABC and B. And for the parents of this great institution, help her out. It is not easy. Support her. Where you find things are not moving well, ask. Let's take a consultative approach. How do we solve this problem? And all the problems will be solved. Otherwise, I want to wish you well and ask Allah to make our children qurratul ayn lana, to make us be the best ummah and raise the best of all ummahs, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.